Today we're going to show you how to pull a coolant sample out of this RV. There are two places to access coolant for the sample. One is the radiator itself, if it has a pressure cap on it. I think you're going to find that most cooling systems today on late model vehicles and late model motorhomes, you're going to find a pressure cap on the overflow tank itself, as with this RV here. Because of the design of the overall system, the radiators are so hidden and buried today, you couldn't access the radiator cap if it had one on the radiator. So they've moved the radiator pressure cap to the overflow tank, and that's where we're going to ask you to take the sample. For your safety, we're going to ask you to take a sample on the cold engine. Engines at normal operating temperature could have anywhere from 8 to an excess of 15 pounds of pressure in that system. It is not recommended to pull the pressure cap off a system at normal temperature with that kind of pressure in the system. It can be very dangerous. So for your safety, we're going to ask you to do it on a cold engine. Now, if your vehicle has been driven in the last day or so, then you can just go out and take the sample. If it's been stored and set like this RV has for several weeks, then I'm going to ask you to drive this unit about 30 minutes, get it up to normal operating temperature, bring it back, let it cool down overnight, and come back the next day and pull that sample. Your sample kit will have a bottle in it that the sample will go in. It'll have a piece of plastic tubing that will pull the sample with. It'll have a padded mailer to mail the sample in. You'll have some forms to fill out, a sample information form and a component registration form. And it'll have a set of instructions that will walk you through the process. I'm going to suggest that you have nitrile or latex gloves to protect your hands, and it's always nice to have a shop towel handy. You're going to need a vacuum pump to pull the sample. Now, if you've seen our other videos about pulling oil samples, you'll notice that I've used a red pump to pull oil. We're going to use a blue vacuum pump to pull coolant. We don't use one pump for both samples because we can contaminate our sample that way. So we're going to use a blue pump for this particular coolant sample. These pumps are also available from JG Lubricant Services. Let's get started. Let's pull our radiator cap off our overflow tank. Pick up the vacuum pump, pick up my piece of plastic tubing. I'm going to insert this tubing into this knurled brass colored knob and stick the hose in here so it's about a ½ inch into this cavity where the bottle screws on. I'm going to tighten this knob up nice and tight so I can't pull that tube out. I'm going to take the lid off of the sample bottle and screw it on nice and snug to my vacuum pump. Now I'm ready to pull that sample. I want to put this down in so I'm not all the way to the bottom. I want to pull it back off a couple inches so I'm pulling the coolant sample from about the middle of that reservoir. I'm going to activate the pump and pull the coolant into the sample bottle. I want it about 2/3 full. It's pretty good there. Now I'm going to release this brass knob, pull my sample tube up out of the pump, raise it up, let some of this coolant drain back into the coolant tank, and then I'm going to throw this plastic tubing away because we don't use it again because it could contaminate the next sample. I'm going to carefully unscrew my sample bottle from the pump. I'm going to put the lid on nice and snug.